every tech company on the planet banned him. Not just his presence, but also his ability to conduct business on the internet. He was taken off Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all of it.
Cancel
Then
culture.
they started telling you that not only was he not allowed to talk, but that you weren't allowed to like him because he was an incredibly bad person. And our view on that always is we'll decide for ourselves, since we're adults and Americans, and we'll listen to anyone we want, and we'll come to any conclusion we care to come to about what that person is about. So we sat down at some length and talked to Andrew Tate, and we wanted to show you some of it so you could make up your own mind, which you're still allowed to do as far as we're concerned. Here's part of the interview.
I just want to say this. Tucker Carlson is the only American journalist in mainstream media I watch. Yes, sorry, I watch Fox News, I watch Tucker Carlson because he's, to me, a classical liberal like myself. He stands up for freedom of the people against this tyrannical elite that oppresses them. And by the way, that's very Marxist. That's very classical Marxist, but that's a separate discussion we can have. Let's continue.
I don't really feel like I've exposed anything. Like, I'm truly not a very political person. This is the first time someone's experienced this level of ban. I'm not particularly...
It's not the first time. I mean, they ban everyone. They ban Phil Valentine, Alex Jones, Farrakhan, etc. So you are a part of it now. You're a part of the cancel culture, but okay.
Right wing. I don't vote. I mean, I obviously have my own personal views, but they didn't ban me for that. They banned me simply because I had large swaths of the population agreeing to very traditional masculine values.
Yeah.
Teenage men and young men, 22, 23, 24, were looking up to me and aspiring to be like me. I have a very traditionally masculine life. I have fast cars and a big house and a lot of money and a beautiful girlfriend.
Yeah.
And they thought this was very, very threatening. And for some reason, they decided that it's better if they annihilate me from the internet and replace me with somebody who's more aligned with whatever they're trying to purport.
Which is woke culture, feminized men, and all of these kinds of things. Yeah, very true. Very true. And very sad.
Tell us what your message is to young men.
Yeah, so I think that being a man is very, very difficult. I think that men's issues are largely overlooked. The people in charge of the world pretend to care, but when somebody who's championing men's issues like myself comes forward and finally manages to garner huge percentiles of the public support, I'm silenced. So they're not really interested in men's issues.
The Antichrist uses dark magic. They want to split the family. It's all about splitting the family, turning the woman against the man, belittling the man. You can destroy a man by taking away his ownership, his right to own and do his own thing and own what he creates. And that is what they did with the black man during slavery. They took away the black man's right to own, so he felt like he is nothing. And that is what they are trying to do right now with men, to lower him down so that the deep state elite cabal, let's say the cabal, are the only men in power, so to speak.
There's a lot of young men growing up today that feel very disaffected. They feel invisible. The agendas that are being forced down their throats are not agendas they align with or they feel affinity to or agendas they want. And I basically just say to men, look, it's a very hard life. You're going to need to get up, work hard, go to the gym. Strong body is a strong mind. You're going to have to reject listening blindly to everything you're told, reject the slave mind, think for yourself, get a strong network of brothers, work aside them. Don't tolerate low-quality people in your life, which means don't tolerate men who just smoke drugs and play video games, or men who are...
Or toxic people. Just be the boss of your life. Ban all the toxic people. You don't need that, bro.
Disloyal or dishonest. By extension, don't tolerate women or girlfriends who are disloyal or dishonest. And try and build and create a reality full of high-quality people in which you can resist the programming that the Matrix tries to influence you with. And grow up truly happy.
Religion.
And what happens is when I say these things, they ignore 95% of what I...
Don't underestimate religion. You need religion and religious practice to stand against the dark magic that these cabal use. Let's listen to that. Play back a little bit.
And grow up truly happy. And what happens is when I say these things, they ignore 95% of what I say. Yeah. They ignore me saying that you need to avoid low-quality men and they take the bit where I say avoid women who are dishonest, and then they put it on a reel, a very short 3 or 4 second clip, and then they say I'm a misogynistic person and I'm dangerous to women and I need to be banned. It's a problem.
And I want to say something. I have some 10,000 followers on TikTok. Some of my videos have 600,000 views. They are trending in Sweden. I really know what Tate is talking about. I made one video where I laughed when a bunch of young boys were kicking political posters. It got banned. I made one video that had like 50,000 views where I spoke out that feminism has destroyed families. It got banned. And what is so difficult for me, and this gives me a lot of stress on TikTok, is that there are haters, usually left-wing woke haters, that are looking for faults in me. They are trying to find faults in me with a how do you say, zooming glass, just picking at faults and coming to my stream, trying to provoke me, trying to belittle me and make me say something really stupid so that they can take that video, blow it all over and cancel me. So, and that creates a lot of stress when you have that feeling that everyone is watching you in the littlest detail looking for faults. So I really know what he's talking about. It's really horrible.
The problem is that the majority of young men in the world today are completely invisible. And social media has made them invisible. If you go into an Instagram feed, you have extremely beautiful women, which is fine. They're beautiful. They're allowed to take pictures. But the only men who have followers are men with massive social status, right? Men with Ferraris and money, or rappers, or people who have YouTube channels, interesting people. If you're a normal man with a normal job, you don't really exist in the online world. It's very difficult to get followers. Nobody replies to your DMs. You don't really matter. You don't have access to the sexual marketplace. It's very difficult for you to even get any kind of recognition that you're even alive. And a lot of men feel lost and lonely because of that. And I was championing to a degree their issues by saying to them, look, that is...
And not only do they feel lonely, it creates anxiety and stress and has led to the higher, you can say, suicide rates. I don't want to go through that a lot among men. And that's why I also try to have a little bit of a more masculine and powerful and empowering message. But I feel also on social media, just like Phil Valentine and Farrakhan, when they try to be more masculine, that you immediately get cancelled because they want to promote this woke stuff.
Unfair perhaps, but that's the way the game works. You need to become a man of importance. You need to become a man of influence, or you're going to suffer the pain of being invisible forever.
Do for self.
Here is how you do it. I wasn't trying to change the rules of the game. I was just telling the men how to win, because I came from nothing and I'm completely and utterly self-made. And I think the reason a lot of men are so depressed is because they feel invisible. They feel like the life is too hard. Women expect me to be strong and smart and funny and interesting with a nice apartment and a fast car and tall and well connected and funny, and it's just too much for them to handle, and the social pressure.
Just the ego of women. The deep state promotes the nafs in Sufism, or ego of the woman, and makes the woman all the time argue against the man. So anytime you try to say something, they will pull the feminist card on you, and then you cannot do anything. And for example, a country like Sweden is very extreme when it comes to feminism.
On men is absolutely immense, and I was championing their issues, and at the same time all these social media platforms pretend to care. As soon as somebody they resonate with stands up and champions their issues, they mass blanket ban me, which shows they have absolutely no care for the young men of the world today. They think that by banning me, I'm just going to vanish, and the young men are just going to go and start eating the gruel that they're fed on their YouTube feed.
The lies.
They don't want to read. They don't want to see transgender people wear makeup. They don't want to see that. They want to see a man who has a bunch of money and a nice life and some fast cars and is strong and is confident. They want an action hero. Yeah. And that's something
that's what they want. They want an action man. And I spoke about that in one of my videos, that, you know, I grew up with Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger, badass guy with the gun, Rambo, you know, tough guys, you know, Achilles in Troy, and now all of the heroes are feminine, but that's, yeah, we want the action man. Young guys want an action man. It's true.
Large portions of the world still want to be. And YouTube and social media platforms obviously just don't like the idea of that. They want to get rid of me and try and replace me with something they see as far more malleable trying to create people which are more malleable and more easy to program and more easy to control.
So news accounts in the United States say that the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest, Romania, was tipped off to your misdeeds and alerted the local authorities you might be committing human trafficking. Given that this is the same charge they leveled against Julian Assange or a species of it, skeptical, but I want to know the details. Were you arrested for human trafficking? What happened?
Yeah, I was not arrested. So what happened is I suffered from a case of swatting. It's very popular with people who are large on the internet. Many large YouTubers have been swatted. It's where you call the police and you say somebody has a gun or there's a hostage situation and the SWAT team arrives. Somebody made a phone call to the American embassy saying that I was holding women at my house. The police arrived. And let me state this now. I state this openly to the world. I have absolute respect for the police. I would hate to live in a country where if you call the police saying women are being held against their will, that the police don't respond. That would be terrible. Of course they should come and look. Absolutely. They turned up. They investigated. They realized that nobody was in the house against their will. There was no crime committed. They said, okay, you're not a suspect, but you are a witness to this, along with me, my brother, the housekeeper, the gardener. Everybody who was in the premises at the time was labeled a witness. We had to go to the police station for 45 minutes for pieces of paper. We filled them in and we were let go. I was swatted. Nobody was hurt. There's no human trafficking. There's no...
It's intended to make him afraid. That's the secret of the deep state, these pagans. They want to make you feel that big brother, the eye is watching you and you have to shut up or they will cancel you like that. It's fear.
Women who were tied up, there's none of these things. It's all just fear. Complete fallacy.
You probably made some of these companies mad with your views on COVID. So sum up for us, if you would, what you think the response to COVID globally did to the populations of the West.
Yeah, so I certainly made them mad with my views on COVID. I don't want to go to conspiracy theory, and I would also never kill myself. Let me just say that here for the record. But okay. At the time of COVID first being announced, my brother and I decided we sat and had a very logical conversation, and we sat and said, we're two young fighting age males. If COVID can kill us, then the world is over. It's zombie apocalypse time. So there's no point hiding. We may as well go out with a bang. So my brother and I flew to Stockholm, Sweden. Now, I don't know if many people know this, but Sweden never closed down.
Yeah, I know it because I was in Stockholm, Sweden during COVID. I am from Stockholm, Sweden. It was horrible, actually. It's not as great as Tate paints it up. People died because the government did absolutely nothing about it. They were just chicken shit afraid, saying that there is no research that says that lockdowns help. And I was like, look at the numbers. People are dying. Close down the country. But that's a separate thing. It was Sweden really failed during COVID. But okay.
Stockholm and Sweden never closed down. No, never made you wear masks. Never mandated the vaccine. At the very beginning,
they mandated the vaccine.
Restrict this. When Florida was still closed, when Miami was still closed, when the Republican states were still closed, Stockholm, Sweden was wide open with full nightclubs and a party scene like you've never seen. And we lived in Sweden
because that's how many Swedish people deal with problems. They pretend like they don't exist. But that's a separate point.
Solid months with zero restrictions. Zero worry or interest in COVID. It was like the world was completely normal. And from there,
people
when
were
we
worried.
left, obviously COVID was still going on. And in a neighboring country, you go to Germany, and they were having full panic attacks, genuine panic attacks if you didn't have a mask on. And it was just very obvious to me. I was like, I've spent the last 3 months ignoring this, and I'm fine. And now I'm in Germany, surrounded by panic attacks and endless masks. This doesn't make sense. And I told the truth on social media. I said, this is obviously an overreaction. The decimation of your income, the fact you can't go get a doctor's appointment for a genuine ailment or a genuine risk of cancer, for example, the fact that you can't see your loved ones in their final days, these things are far more destructive than the common cold. I think that what they're doing is unfair. I think it's a massive overreaction. And this is based on my personal experience. And I think at the time there was a lot of pushback, but I would like to think now that 99% of the world see I was totally right. You know, it's kind of funny, Tucker. I'll tell you, when at the height of COVID, I used to say to my brother, how will people struggle with the cognitive dissonance when this is all over? Because COVID is still out there. Nothing's gone away. The thing that we were all hiding from is still right there, out there to get you. But now everyone walks around and they're not scared of it anymore. And I'm like, are people critical enough to analyze themselves and say, for a year of my life, I was deathly afraid of something. Now I'm exposing myself to said thing, and I'm not.
What they did, they projected it to Russia. Didn't they? All the human beings came back from COVID. Now everything is calm. We're going to live normally. No, we are not. We are going to work from home as we do here in the Netherlands. I'm in Amsterdam right now. And Russia is the big devil. Let's hate on Russia. Let's not negotiate with Russia when they have demands on Ukraine not joining NATO, etc. Minsk agreement. Let's just create a third world war. So that really ended up well for everyone. No, it didn't. But that's what they did. They projected it to Russia. And when the Russia war is over, people are going to project it to China or Muslims or something like that. Always an external enemy, but never the jihadul nafs, the inner jihad, the fight against your own self.
Afraid anymore. The media tricked me and I was a fool. But they're not. They don't even seem to self-analyze and go, I got tricked. They're just like, oh, okay, next thing. Hey, Andrew now. Like robots. It's mind-bending.
People are robots.
Truly.
So I saw you compare the experience of rich people under...
We are not human beings anymore. I can't be a human. I can't be myself and swear and say fuck and shit like that. I have to be perfect. If I'm not perfect, I'm cancelled by some woke cancel culture. We are not human beings anymore. We are robots. And they are turning us into robots. Let's continue.
COVID, you're one of them, to everybody else. What did you notice about that? It seemed like a two-tiered response.
Yeah, so the story was very simple. I was flying inside of Europe. There's a lot of low-cost air carriers. It's only low-cost primarily. There's not much first class, business class, anything like that. And I was flying, and my experience was plagued by endless paperwork, wearing a mask, put the mask over your nose. Every time you eat, you have to put the mask on in between. I got told off for not having the mask up high enough. I got told off for drinking too long because my...
So did I. I started fighting with SAS, the Swedish company, because they said that I didn't have the mask in the right way. I was pissed off, man.
Mask wasn't on. Pure panic and chaos. And because I'm fortunate enough to be fiscally secure, from there I decided I'll just buy private jets from now on. And when I bought a private jet, there was no masks, no paperwork, no mask at the airport when I landed.
Let's take that again, because this is how the bourgeoisie in real Marxist theory work. This is how the elite work, and it's the same in finance, and we're not going to go through finance. Let's listen to this again.
There, I decided I'll just buy private jets from now on. And when I bought a private jet, there was no masks, no paperwork, no mask at the airport when I landed.
They create rules for you to follow that they themselves don't follow. The elite, the true bourgeoisie, they create rules for you to follow that they themselves don't follow. That is what people don't know about them. Let's just say, should I even go into it? There are certain international organizations that are beyond law, but they stipulate law for others. That's exactly what Tate says right now. The rich bourgeoisie that fly private jets, they don't even follow the COVID rules. They just put it down to the normal people. So they legislate rules for you to follow that they themselves are above.
Just buy private jets from now on. And when I bought a private jet, there was no masks, no paperwork, no mask at the airport when I landed. My air stewardess was not wearing a mask. My pilot was not wearing a mask. COVID didn't exist once I bought a private jet. Very interesting. Maybe if you're rich enough, COVID can't take. Maybe COVID's scared of money. I'm not sure. But it's the bourgeoisie. Everyone who's flying on private jets never had to worry about COVID ever. It's just the people at the bottom who had to worry about COVID.
Okay, that's this right there. This is true Marxist theory. And the funny thing is that the Marxist and the real left wing has gone to the right. The real left-wingers are listening to Tucker CARLSON and Tulsi Gabbard and people who are speaking truth to power. Speaking truth to power is socialist. Speaking truth to power is communist. That's the true classical liberal French Revolution. And so Andrew Tate is a French revolutionary. Tucker CARLSON is a French revolutionary, a Leninistic revolutionary. Myself, to a certain degree, maybe on a small level, I am too. They set rules for all of us to follow, but they themselves don't follow the rules. They are above it. They are the elites, right?
Kind of interesting, right? Life's always been two-tiered. There's always been this separation in regards to fiscal access. But I think a lot of people in the world today don't realize that it still very much exists. And a lot of the rules are only the rules for a certain class of people. And once you pass a certain wealth index or a certain level of money, that you can do basically...
You can do whatever you want. You have the best lawyers from the best law firms. So even if someone charges these companies, these multinational companies for stuff, they have the best lawyers. You will never win against them. They even write the law. And they know the government officials and the judges and all of that. They are the top. They do whatever they want, but they set rules for you and I to follow. Then they tell us we have democracy. Really? What Americans decided sanctions against Russia? What Americans decided that Joe Biden is going to run a proxy war against Russia through Ukraine? I don't think the American people decided that. Did the Swedish people and Finnish people decide to join NATO? No, that was decided by other people.
Whatever you want. And COVID really highlighted that to me, and it's truly sad. I mean, it's easy for me to make a joke of it, but when I would fly on a private jet and do whatever I wanted, or go to Sweden and party in nightclubs and do whatever I wanted, and then I'd come to, let's say, England and see my friend who couldn't go see his dying grandmother because of a COVID restriction, that's truly sad. That's truly criminal. It's really crazy what's happened and how the world's just moved on, and the cognitive dissonance that people don't have enough respect for themselves and for the truth to analyze how they were so easily fooled. It's really sad to even think about. But maybe that was the beginning of me being disliked, by just pointing out my human experiences during the pandemic. But I want to tell you something that's actually kind of scary about this banning. It all came so hard and so fast that I don't know if they all just follow each other. I don't know if they're all influenced by each other. I don't know if there's someone above them all. I don't know. But when they go to cancel you, ladies and gentlemen, it comes hard and fast.
Bam!
You lose your Facebook, then your Instagram, then your Gmail, then your Discord, then your website hosting, then your domain name, then your payment processor, then your bank. Then it's just like in real time, you're watching your phone and apps just exploding. Boom.
Yeah, that's what they do. They did the same to Russia. Sanctions Russian banks, take away the ruble. They control the financial system. And they control this. They want us to live through technocracy. Like a certain Alex Jones also banned said. Because to technocracy, they can monitor you and control you. And then you disobey them, they block your bank accounts. Yeah.
Then your website hosting, then your domain name. Then your payment processor, then your bank, then it's just like in real time, you're watching your phone and apps just exploding. Boom, boom, boom. It's crazy.
Andrew Tate, you don't have to agree with everything a man says to believe he has a right to speak in public. And we do believe that. No one gets to tell you who you can watch. No one gets to tell you what you have to think. No one gets to tell you who you have to hate.
Classical liberal.
You're an American and an adult. You can make those decisions yourself. So why don't they want you to hear from Andrew Tate?
I will stop here. I just feel sad. That's all I can say. I just feel sad over the Tate ban. I feel that this is a victory for the elites. And this is a defeat for the proletariat, the common folks. And we are all proletariat, we are all the common folks. Tucker CARLSON also, Tate, we don't own the means of production. So as long as we don't do, and there are some other people who own all these apps and all the banks, what can we do? We are slaves. But we will come again, and Andrew Tate, inshallah, will find his way. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's human. I think he tries to motivate young people. That's his intention. I just feel sad. That's the truth. Hopefully this was interesting. Salam alaikum. Peace.